under 10.5 on the line.
You have to be the biggest, dumbest idiot.
Josh Allen inside the 10, inside 5, touchdown, game over.
Going into the draft, I was a big Penix guy. I'm still a big Penix guy.
Rashee Rice is way ahead of schedule in his ACL rehab, which is good news for his fantasy managers because the Dallas court system is way behind schedule. That's also good news for local comedian Miles Francis. Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and today we are here to talk about Travis Hunter. Is he a unicorn? The answer may surprise you. And I am here. I am your host today. My name is Jamie Jakes. I got the hair down. I got the arms out, my very pale arms for all of y'all to see. You're welcome for that. We're changing it up here a little bit. Let me know in the comment section if you hate my outfit or if you love my look today. We're getting things a little started, a little bit different, but let's get to the point of the show. We're here to talk about Travis Hunter. There is a big groundswell ever since he got drafted. Before he got drafted, this guy is a unicorn. He is a one of one, and we'll never see anything like him in the NFL ever again. I have a different thought on that. I do not think he is a unicorn. I think he is a good wide receiver. I don't think he's going to be a great corner in the NFL. And let me tell you exactly why. I'm going to start with showing you some really, really good statistics, comparing him to other players in this draft class and past draft classes as a corner and a wide receiver. And I'm also going to give my take at the end of my personal film study, my personal film beliefs on Travis Hunter, where he does well and where he doesn't do so well. And I don't want this to sound like I think Travis Hunter is just a dumb, terrible player in the NFL, like he's going to be in the XFL in 2 weeks. That's not the case. I do, however, believe the Jags way overpaid to move up with the Cleveland Browns to get him, trading 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick to move up like 4 spots in the NFL draft to get Travis Hunter. I think is going to go down, I predict will go down in history as a terrible move for the new GM in Jacksonville, and will set them back a few years, because I don't think for a non-quarterback, for a guy who I don't think is going to be able to play both ways in the NFL, I don't think it's really going to pan out. All right, so first things first, let's get this clip out of the way. This clip has circulated throughout the fantasy football community, and boy, oh boy, you would think this guy is the next lockdown corner in the NFL after this clip. Let's break it down for you real quick. Travis Hunter, his first camp or OTA or rookie mini camp clip of him actually playing corner. He's been playing wide receiver. Pretty darn good play. I'm not gonna say that's not a great play. It was good. It was not an interception. There were some people who pointed out the ball definitely hit the ground. And the first thing I want to always bring up when these clips surface is OTA clips and training camp clips are insanely unreliable. You can definitely get an idea of how the player is moving, but context is everything. So context of this clip, it's a one-on-one clip, which is like the lowest in the form of reliability, in the form of meaning. One-on-one wide receiver, cornerback clips are not the best clips in the world. But I would also like to point out the receiver on this play, which always gets forgotten about. Whenever we get these clips, I'm always like, let's look up whoever the hell number 88 is. He is number 88 on this play. He is an undrafted rookie out of BYU. Which, to be fair to Travis Hunter, they do play the Rams, and I think week 7 this year, the Jags do. So if that's an indication of how he will play against Mormons, that's pretty good. But I think he's going to see some better competition than an undrafted guy who's probably not going to make the team, who did get a step on him on that clip. So first things first, that's not very reliable. That's not something I would get very excited about if I was a Jags fan sitting here in January, February, March, April, May, June. Got a long way to go. Okay. So let's start with his wide receiver profile, because I think he is a much better wide receiver than he is a corner. Okay, so this is basically the argument for, and by the way, Football Insights, FBALL_insights on X is the best follow, I think, on the whole platform as far as fantasy football goes. They do a really, really good job. They make beautiful charts, and they make it very digestible, very easy to understand, and they do keep it meaningful. There are some people who post a lot of dumb charts on social media and just kind of make themselves look smart, but they kind of make themselves look dumb because sometimes they post things that don't really mean anything. Okay, so the first metric I always look for, just as a baseline for wide receiver prospects, is yards per route run. I was a big Trey Harris guy going into the draft. He was my second favorite wide receiver in the draft. Tet, 237. Egbuka. So Travis Hunter looking pretty darn good. 2.42. These are career statistics, by the way. So this does count his stint early in his career at the HBCU, playing not the best target competition in the world. Tet was my number one, and you'll see why here. Yards per game, 92. Travis Hunter only averaged 74.7 yards per game. Good, but now nowhere near the best in the class. You could see Trey Harris, who I had ahead of him, and a little bit of a hot take, I also have Jaden Higgins ahead of him. So Travis Hunter is actually my 4th ranked wide receiver in this draft class. Travis is a little bit undersized. Travis Hunter weighed out at 188, and he did actually measure out at 6 foot at the combine. So a skinny guy, a small guy, and that's a big reason I don't think he is going to be a great corner in the NFL. I don't think he has the size for it, and I don't think he's going to be durable enough to play both ways. Now, you can look at all of these statistics and say, well, hey, Travis Hunter, he played both ways, so he was tired. So that's why he wasn't as efficient as other prospects in this draft class. My rebuttal to that would be, well, if he's planning on playing both ways in the NFL, I don't think it's going to work. You can't just hop into the NFL and expect yourself to play better in a longer season with bigger, faster athletes playing the same amount of snaps. I will die on the hill that Ashton Genty should have won the Heisman this year because of this chart right here. Okay, this is a great one. Same Twitter follow here. Travis Hunter versus the other corners in this draft class. And they were nice enough to give us a little bit of context here and give us last season's draft class to compare it to for comparison's sake. Travis Hunter was not by any means productive, efficient in any of these metrics. Okay. It's really, really concerning. And what's even more concerning, which isn't even talked about on this chart, is his lack of tackling. So we'll get into that in a second, what I think about his film notes outside of just the objective metrics and statistics that we can drum up here. So if you look at last year's draft class, I think we could all agree Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean, Kamari Lassiter, probably the top 4 prospects in that class. And you notice all of them have pretty darn good metrics in the outer areas. So the rating when targeted for the quarterback and yards per snap given up are the 2 most predictive statistics based on the sample size of last season. Okay. So these middle metrics, snaps per reception and forced incompletion percentage, it's a little bit more unreliable. You could see how that could be, the forced incompletion percentage could be a very subjective metric when you're grading it. So that's why I'm going to stick with these outer ranges, the passer rating when targeted and yards per snap. Travis Hunter gave up a lot of yards per snap, and he gave a lot of yards per snap on short routes. He really, really struggled covering short routes, which is ironic because he really was great at short routes on the offensive side of the football. Rating when targeted, Will Johnson playing in the Big Ten, the Notre Dame lad, Benjamin Morrison played much better in that metric. Jahdae Barron, who was kind of like an inside guy, a bigger guy, he played really, really well in that metric. And Trey Amos nipping at the heels of Travis Hunter here. So when I'm looking at this chart, I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't think Travis Hunter is a top 3, a top 4 cornerback in this draft class. And when I watched the film, I thought the exact same thing. You can see all of these yards per snap given up on pretty darn good conferences that these guys are playing in, much better than the one that Travis Hunter was playing in. He gave a yard, almost a full yard per snap. And the only one worse than that in this group of the top 5 guys was Will Johnson, who dominated in the rating versus Travis Hunter. So in conclusion, statistics wise, you're going to have a tough time making an argument that Travis Hunter is a top 3 corner in this draft class, which is what I would think make him a unicorn. I think if he was just a corner in this draft class, he would be somewhere in like the 3rd to 4th round range. Like I said, he really struggled tackling because he's undersized. There's a lot of big missed tackles where guys spun out of it and got big gains after that against not so great opponents. And speaking of which, Travis didn't really have to play any tough opponent in his one big test against Alec Iamanor, however you say his last name. He got absolutely cooked in that game for, I think, like 200 yards, gave up 2 touchdowns. Game went to overtime, but he had a really, really tough time covering a slightly bigger guy who is now in the division, by the way. I think he's playing for Tennessee with Cam Ward. So I am not super optimistic that Travis Hunter is going to be able to lock down on the outside, which is where he played. He wasn't a slot guy, as you saw on that on that chart. He's going to have a really tough time on in-breaking routes because he can't tackle. And yeah, he's a great highlight reel, interception, contested catch guy on the opposite side of the football. He can make great contested catches, but I don't think that's really going to translate into the NFL. I think he's going to really, really struggle from the cornerback position. And let's talk about contested catches, because we've seen so many times. I don't know when people are going to catch up to this, but contested catches, in my opinion, are almost, I don't want to say it's like a bad thing to be good at contested catches, but if you have a ton of contested catches on your film, like Rome Odunze did last year when he got drafted in the top 10, because he had great, counting statistics. He had a great quarterback too, but that's the story for a different day. He won a lot in contested catches, and now that he's in the NFL playing in the men's league, it's not panning out. I get it. There's still people who are still believers in Rome Odunze. I am not one of them. In none of the metrics, yards per route run, he was top 10 in the league in routes run this year. People, speaking of Rome Odunze, he was top 10 in routes run this year, and people are acting like he didn't get an opportunity because Keenan Allen was on the team. Just absolutely nonsense. So anyways, I've established Rome Odunze is a bust and will be a bust in the NFL, and everybody was excited because he was a contested catch guy. What I'm looking for, and it's worked for me great. I have a really, really good track record picking these rookies in like dynasty drafts and ranking them. What I'm looking for in a wide receiver is a guy who can separate. And I know that sounds a little bit of an oversimplification, but I don't care how you separate. I don't care if you slip down into the zone. I don't care if you're a speedster. I don't care if you're a short route guy. I don't care if you're a long route guy. I want to see you create separation, big separation from these college corners you're playing against. And Travis Hunter did have that on his film. Like I said, he's my 4th favorite wide receiver in this draft class. He was a pretty decent separator on short routes, though. He wasn't a great deep route separator. He was given a little bit of like some like moon balls that he went up and got because he was a contested catch guy. But 5'11", 188 pounds, I don't think that contested catch is really going to carry over into the NFL like a lot of people think it is going to. So in conclusion, Travis Hunter is a good NFL player. He should not have been traded up for in this draft class. The Cleveland Browns are going to be looking really great with Mason Graham. I hate that they picked a running back in the 2nd round with the draft pick that they got, but who knows how the Cleveland Browns season goes? Who knows how the Jags season goes? And if the Jags season goes bad and they end up giving 2 top 10 draft picks for 1 early draft pick for Travis Hunter, it's going to look really, really bad, especially if Quinshon Judkins, I don't want to say come out of nowhere, but really hits the ground running there in Cleveland in what was a horrible offense, what's projected to be a horrible offense again this year. I do, however, have an insane amount of confidence on Mason Graham, and I will make a bold prediction here. I think Mason Graham with batted balls at the line of scrimmage is going to have more pass breakups than Travis Hunter will this year. Maybe even more interceptions. I don't know. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a good wide receiver in the league. I think it's going to be a failed experiment very early, trying to have him play both ways. I think he's going to get cut from the defensive side of things very quickly, and he'll find a good role as a wide receiver 2 or a short route guy. He's not really, I don't know if he's going to be a slot guy because he played a lot of outside in college, but obviously Brian Thomas Jr. is the alpha on that team and probably the alpha in the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the #1 dynasty wide receiver by like week 7 this year. He's just that good. And he was that good with a horrible quarterback play last season. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Please subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.